Steel spoked wheels. I forgot how comfortable they are until I rode these ones. These wheels were sent to me for free by a brand called Moving Sports, and these are their Aim 1 wheels. Full disclosure, they were sent for free for a review, but I haven't got any discount codes or anything. They're just up for review. Final part of the introduction, they are now going to be going into my full spreadsheet where you can see where I've ranked each wheel that I've ridden individually. Ultra brief explanation on this spreadsheet, guys. It is scored from a 0 to a 4, a fail to excellent, and I've got 10 different categories to rank it on and see how it compares to other brands. So, with that being said, let's get into first of my 10 categories. Of course, chapters are always down below if you want to skip ahead. Let's roll. Kicking it off with handling. Do these wheels handle well? And it's going to be a very brief category here, guys. The answer is yes. They have a very light turn-in feel. They feel very stable in the corners. Because of those steel spokes, they do actually absorb the bumps quite well as you're going around the corners, so I feel quite comfortable railing it on these things. I also find they're quite predictable when you're going around the corners as well, which is a good thing. So yeah, quite a confidence inspiring. Which, just as most wheels are nowadays, this is going to go straight into the 4 out of 4 category. Wind stability. How well do these guys handle the crosswinds? Well, I've had these for about 4 or 5 months now, a lot of riding in the UK, and I went and tested them for a full week out of Mallorca, and it was really windy there. Here's a quick video that I filmed of it. So for anyone who hasn't thought it was windy this week, yeah, this is the island right now. But effectively, I'm actually going to give this one a 2. Now, it wasn't because of those extreme winds. Basically, when these catch a side wind, they pull you off, and I move about 5 centimeters and then come straight back in. So it's not like they're just being touched and brushed. I do move a bit and then come back to central. But I imagine if you're a lighter rider than me, I am 90 kilos currently. I always have to say this in my videos, I suspect that you're probably going to get pushed off your line a little bit more. It's not like it shoves you and doesn't let you come back onto your line. You come back onto your line very quickly, but you do notice it a little bit. So it's just going to get a 2, which is a pass. Responsiveness. Do they react fast when you put the power down? Yeah, they do. Very well. Now for this category, they are going to score a 3, and they're not quite going to get the top marks because they are a steel spoke. Carbon spokes do respond that little bit sharper, I will say, but obviously you do have trade-offs in comfort, which we're going to talk about a little bit later. But yeah, they're just not at that peak responsiveness like a carbon spoke would be. And to be totally honest with you, this is fine. Again, I'm a big dude. I can quite comfortably hit 1600 watts frequently, and I still really enjoyed sprinting on these wheels. They have a really fast, really reactive, responsive. They don't feel flexy underneath you, which is a really good thing. They don't feel soft. They don't feel floppy. It's just that that carbon spoke does offer that very slight, very minuscule increase in responsiveness. Now, if you are racing like a tight crit circuit where you're going to be sprinting frequently out of lots of corners, then maybe I would go for a carbon spoke wheel. But for anyone else, this is going to be plenty enough. Well, let's move on to comfort then, shall we? Because this is one thing where they have thrived, these wheels. I've been riding carbon spokes for about 1.5 years straight now, and I've got to say, I have completely forgotten about the comfort levels of a steel spoked wheel, and this has reminded me of it. And even riding here in the UK, you can notice the difference. I haven't got the widest tyres on these things. I've got some 28s because they fit the rim profile perfectly. I'll talk about that a bit later. But yes, even in our crater-ridden roads here in the UK, I have noticed the difference that these are better. So it's a straight 4 on this one. If you would like a little bit more weight savings and a smidge more responsiveness, these guys do offer a carbon spoke version of their wheels now. So that's an option that's open to you as well. So yeah, it's safe to say when I took these wheels out to Mallorca, it was a dream. Now I know some brands do like those Aramid like ropey spokes. Those are supposed to be even more comfortable, but I haven't been offered a pair of one of those, so I haven't had the chance to ride them. Now I'm sure you're probably wondering about the weight of these then, because usually a steel spoked wheel is a bit heavier than a carbon spoked wheel, especially nowadays. 1293 grams. for a steel spokes wheel. That is bloody good. So in the weight category, this scores an easy 4 out of 4. And in that photo there, 1293 grams, I have balanced the wheel, so I've added about 8 grams to the opposite side of where the valve sits. And that is with rim tape as well, so kind of like almost a riding weight, obviously without any tubes or tyres or tubeless sealant, whichever you decide to run. As I mentioned a moment ago on the comfort side of things, you can bring that weight down by going for the carbon spoke version, but to be honest, because they were noticeably very comfortable with these steel spokes, I'll buy the steel spoke version. They're plenty light enough, these wheels. And because they are so light, they really add to the responsiveness of these wheels. You get out the saddle to climb, they punch really quickly. You get out to sprint, they feel like they whip up to speed really, really fast. So yeah, it makes it a really nice feeling wheel because they are light. Right, let's talk about the shop window factor of these wheels. Basically, how good do they look? How desirable are they? And I gotta say, I think they're quite a pretty looking wheel. The AIM 1 there is pretty subtle, but it's nice to see a little bit of logoage. Then they've got this yellow strip down here, very Mavic-esque, but when they're spinning up, they look pretty damn cool with that on there. You know, subtle, understated, will pretty much fit any bike unless, depending on the colour scheme, yellow does not fit your bike at all. Not just that, I like the matte texture and the overall shape of the wheel. I would say it's more like a pretty version of the normal DT Swiss Arc wheels that you get, those ones that don't rank very well on my list. Yeah, I think these are a better looking, wider version of those. There is one thing that I would like to see come with the wheels, and that is, well, at the moment I've got them bolted down with these normal like nut rings that come with your valves and stuff like that. I don't know why, I just don't like using them that much. I prefer the stickers that you see on here. But obviously with that yellow strip there, I would like them to provide a yellow sticker that comes with the bike that matches that perfectly, basically. It's just something personal. But yeah, it basically means I have to run those little nuts there, whereas I normally like to just run the sticker. Yeah, something small and that doesn't really matter at all. It's just a personal thing. So, it's all so far so good. Is there anything that lets it down? And that comes onto the internal and external widths of these wheels. They're fairly narrow. Internal rim width is 21mm. This doesn't bother me at all. In fact, it gets a good on my categories because 21mm is really predictable. It just means that the tyre width that you buy is going to measure at that width. For example, 28 will measure at 28mm wide. The external width, however, 29mm wide. So that means that they do pair perfectly with the 28mm tyre, as I have set up and showing you now on the B-roll. Very clean transition from tyre to rim, makes it look really good, and is probably the most aerodynamic setup that you can have on this wheel. I, however, live in the United Kingdom, where austerity has basically made our roads look like the craters that are on the moon. I want to run a wider tyre. Now, obviously there's nothing stopping me from running a wider tyre, but I just have the silly thing in my head where I like the tyre and rim profile to be like aerodynamically perfect. I don't want the tyre to be mushrooming out on the wheel. It's just not something that I want. So the external rim width, for me, is a little bit narrow. Nowadays in the UK, we kind of need anywhere from like a 33 to a 35mm external. So it's only going to get a 2 on the external rim width on this one. Obviously, if you live like in Spain or, well, pretty much most places in Europe or maybe even China, where these wheels come from, your roads are likely a lot smoother and a 28mm tyre is going to be just fine. Okay, what do they cost? Because that is super important. These bad boys come in at $819 US. For us in the UK at current exchange rates, that is £604. That is a very, very light wheel for a very, very low cost. There's not too much to say for that. That's an easy 4 in my category. Cost to value, excellent. Because there's so much competition in these Chinese wheels, capitalism itself has almost forced the ultra light weights to be like these very cheap prices. And yeah, I've been having a really good time on these wheels for that price. So obviously at that cost, I'm sure in your minds durability might be coming into the question. For me, they've been totally fine so far. I've done just about 1,000 kilometers on them now, and yeah, they've been great. The spokes seem to have held their tensions, no problem with the free hubs, no cracking, nothing like that. Now, please remember, I am a sample size of 1. Just because my wheel set's been perfect, I can't say that your wheel set might not be. And relatively speaking, we are still very early on in the lifetime of the wheels that you would expect. So, yeah, just note that for me. Now, again, guys, with all that durability stuff being said, they literally offer a 3-year warranty. That comes for free. If you want to spend, currently on the website, an extra $20, you can turn that into a 5-year warranty. So if anything goes wrong on your wheels, they should replace them for you. Pretty damn good. Now, briefly before I make my conclusions, I think there are a few extra things that you should just know about the wheels, general specs and stuff. First of all, are they tubeless? Yes, of course they are. Every wheel is nowadays. Those steel spokes are also flattened out, so they will be aerodynamically faster, which is a good thing. It is also a ratchet style free hub body, just like DT Swiss, after their patent has run out. So super reliable, easy to find spare parts for it, which is good. And that brings me on to noise levels. For me, super important. They're not like your normal DT Swisses that absolutely shout their way down the road. Also, they're not like whisper quiet, where you just can't hear anything and it feels a bit too ghostly. No, they're kind of that intermediate, in the middle, perfect noise level when you're riding them. Speaking of sound, for those who love a free hub sound test, this one's for you. To be honest, it just sounds like every DT Swiss ratchet hub ever to me. A small but niche one here. The through axle bodies on these ones have quite a lot of space in them, so when you want to use those little prong stands, as you're seeing on the B-roll here, it fits on them really, really nicely. Small thing, but just does. Also, the wheels do come in multiple depths. You've got a 40mm deep, you've got a 50mm deep like I have here, and you do have a 60mm deep version, and you can of course mix and match between those if you want to go shallow at the front, deeper at the back, mullet setup style. That is on their website, as you'll be able to see now. So where do those final scores bring it to on my full score sheet? As we can see here, it brings it to a 33 out of 40, so that's a pretty damn high score. Sitting up there with the top dogs. Things that do really well for it, obviously the cost, the comfort levels, the handling, the responsiveness, things that let it down, internal and external rim widths. Like I said, here in the UK, that's going to be more important. When you've got the smoother roads in other countries, that's going to be less important to you. So obviously take these scores with, not pinch of salt, but I guess relevance to where you live and your road conditions. But yeah, as a whole, doing really well on the score front there. Well everyone, I'm going to keep my conclusions fairly brief here, as I feel like I've gone over most things in the video anyway. Yeah, there are a really good, comfortable, responsive wheel for the price. I mean, that's £604. That is amazing, and they have a very long warranty on them as well. I mean, that is a gift from them there, that's for sure. But there we are, guys. If you have any questions that you think that I have missed, put them in the comments below. I respond to pretty much most things. Also, if you want to message me privately on Instagram, I reply to most things there, so you can find me up here, or you can just follow my daily shenanigans and see what I am up to. But other than that, I've been Jason, this has been Cycling Unboxed. I'll catch you in another video.